In today's video, I'm very excited to announce that I've done another collaboration with the clothing brand Radiava, and I'm going to take you on the journey from the very beginning of coming up with the ideas to the final product. Fair warning, in most of this video I still have long hair. I have since cut it. Before we get into the video, here's a sneak peek of what the clothing articles will look like. And now the intro. Welcome back, people. This is Dowcraze. My name is Joshua Dow and I'm an artist, and in this video I'm going to take you on a journey into clothing design. And what do I mean by that? This brand, Radiava, clothing brand that I have collaborated with before, and it's always been really great. I've been incredibly fortunate to have this opportunity. I have made one video on that before, and watch that here if you're interested. But in that video I kind of just explain a little bit who they are and how I got this opportunity and show off the designs. I don't really take you on the process of making these clothing designs. And something that I've certainly noticed while doing research for this is there's not a lot of content out there on YouTube about coming up with ideas, specifically generating ideas for clothing design. Usually if you watch videos out there on this topic, what you find is people saying, oh, I did this design, this is how I put it onto this piece of clothing or something. But for me, the hardest part is not just when it comes to this, but always in art, it's generating the ideas, coming up with this. Doing the design, fine, that has its difficulties as well, but once you sit down and you know what to do, it's all about just kind of executing that, just doing that. But the hardest task is actually just sitting down and trying to come up with something to do, to paint, to draw. The thing that takes the most kind of energy out of myself is just going on the internet, looking at inspiration from other people, because I think in the end there are just so many options out there of what you could do. If I look at all the inspiration that I have pinned on Pinterest, loads and loads of good content, good clothing designs that are out there and that open so many possibilities up in my head, so many possibilities in a way that makes it even impossible to sketch them all out, because there's just too much. And also an aspect of that I probably struggle with the most is the decision making, the prioritizing, the taking out the ideas that you really like. If you look at a film and you know there's a director's cut out there that is so much longer and has so many great films in there, but that director has to go in and take out those scenes that he really likes to make the film shorter, to wrap it up, to make the whole project just more condensed and down to the point. And yeah, like I said, for me that's definitely the most difficult part. So anyway, what am I going to tell you in this video? How am I going to help you in this video? I don't know yet. That is what this whole video is about. Focus. That's what we're going to find out together, is what is the best way to come up with ideas, to generate ideas. Done a couple of sketchbook pages already, but from here on out I'm going to take you with me on the journey. I'm as curious as you are, so let's just get into it. So let me fill you in on where we are sort of at the beginning of this project. So every project usually begins with some sort of brief, and the brief for this is very open. It is sort of just that we have 4 items of clothing that go under the topic, under the umbrella term of fuck winter. That is sort of the theme for this project, and these items of clothing are a white t-shirt, a burgundy t-shirt, a white hoodie, and a pink sweatshirt. Now the brief of fuck winter is very open. There's so many different directions that could go in. They didn't tell me to make an illustration or a graphic or anything like that. That is all up to me. And having such an open term means that I'm going to spend a lot of time on Pinterest gathering ideas, and so many different aspects that go into it. It could be the style of the illustration, it could be the style of the sweatshirt, it could be the color combination, it could be the placement of the design. Am I going to do graphics? Am I going to do text? And so on. There's a lot of options available for me with such an open brief that were not clarified. So for me, the way I work best is to go onto Pinterest, gather as much inspiration as possible, and then sort of write all these different aspects down that I think would work best, that I would like best, and then kind of cross-reference that with the items of clothing that I have to make. And because I sort of need it all visualized in front of me, I can't just cross-reference it all in my head and kind of grasp the idea, wrap my head around the idea of this project in my head. I need it all laid out, illustrated, written down in front of me for this to work. Yeah, and now I think what's left to do is just hop into Procreate and actually make some of the designs, and yeah, let's get to that. I'm about to have a meeting with the guys over at Radiava, and we're going to decide where we go from here. I'm going to just let you in on what we have so far. Let me screen record here. So what I've accumulated so far are loads of options for different writing styles, because one of the things that I really noticed when going through Pinterest and accumulating all my ideas was that there's a lot of writing, a lot of graphic elements included in clothing that I find pretty cool. I'm very much of an illustrator rather than a graphic designer, but these are just some ideas that I've come up with inspired by other people. On the right are different slogans, because one thing I also noticed is that there are often like just sayings, text, sentences, random sentences on clothing, just kind of because the text element is cool. They all have something to do with fuck winter, which is the theme for this project. From there on, my idea is sort of to present it in the call to the guys as a sort of mix and match thingy. For the white hoodie, I came up with a couple of designs for the back here. Actually, it's all the same design, just kind of in different versions. However, for the front, I think that they can mix and match the design on the back with any of these slogans or writing styles of the brand name, and that is up to them. The decision is out of my hands then, and they can mix and match whatever the design they want with whatever slogan / logo they want. And that idea that sort of goes for the others as well. The burgundy t-shirt here, I quite like the Chinese writing idea, so this means fuck winter in Chinese, which I think is a good idea because fuck winter is sort of very straightforward, in your face, direct message, and by translating it to Chinese, obviously it's not quite as much in your face. This is the Japanese version. And then for the back, I have different options as well. Again, the Chinese writing in combination with a logo, a different logo on the back here. And I quite like this, maybe not specifically this illustration, but this is the ideas of creating sort of a collection of graphic elements of maybe a comic strip. This kind of is supposed to look a little bit like a comic strip of writing and stuff like that. So I think something like that, even if it's not this specific illustration, I think would be a good print for the back. This was the one that they gave me sort of the most to go off of, because they like the idea of having a diagonal print, so something that goes diagonally down the front of the t-shirt. And something that I came up with is sort of taking a iconic fight scene like these two and turning it into a fight between winter and summer, and then with the back again mix and match. That's up to them. The last one, the pink sweatshirt, is probably the one that I had the least idea for. I didn't even really go with many options for the front because once again up to them. For the back, I sort of like this idea of having like a graphic sequence, something like this. I haven't found a good subject matter for it yet, so I figure I'm just gonna tell them what I mean by it, and then they can come up with a subject matter for it. If they don't like it at all, we can always just go with one of these other elements or just a slogan or something on the back, which maybe wouldn't even be a bad idea at all, because some people don't really like having illustrations on their clothing. They'd rather just have something graphic designery or something. Right, I'm gonna go on my call with them in a little bit, and I'll keep you up to date on where this project is going next.
Moin Josh.
Moin, na? So the chat with them was extremely successful, and they really liked what I was doing and got back to me quite soon with their choice of the mix and matching and what they actually wanted to have. So there was really nothing left to do but just to finalize the images. I first did the burgundy t-shirt, which I seemed to not have filmed. However, that was a quite simple one anyway, as it was only Chinese characters and some writing on it, and you will see the final result at the end of the video. Then I went into the pink sweatshirt, and that was a little bit, as you can see here, I started doing it in Procreate, but Procreate is really for illustration, it's not really for graphic design. So while I think that these designs that I came up with would have probably been sufficient for a print on a sweatshirt, I wasn't really liking it, the way that Procreate works. It's just not quite specific enough. So I actually went over into Illustrator, which is not a program that I use very often. I have Adobe, a free Adobe subscription from the university, so I used the Illustrator on the iPad to make this design, and it just worked a lot better. Of course, it's a little bit harder because I have to actually get used to a new software. It just works better for something as graphic as this. And then for the white hoodie and the white t-shirt, it was a little bit more straightforward, as in something that I'm good at, that I usually do, and that's just straightforward, an illustration, no graphic elements or anything like that. So yeah, that's exactly what I made. Right, so that is all that I recorded at the time while I was actually in the process of making these designs. After that, of course, there's always tiny changes in that, but it was basically done. I made these turnarounds for one of the final versions, which is quite cool. Procreate lets you work with 3D now, so I made these like 3D visualizations of what I was going for. This is not completely the final design because I was using 2 colors for these. However, we found out later that we can only print with 1 color per product, essentially. Before I go and show you the actual final result, I want to talk about Radiava a little bit. And the reason that they only use 1 color, for example, is that they print locally with a small local printing company that uses organic ink. The clothing itself is also made in collaboration with the Fair Wear Foundation, so it is produced fairly in Vietnam, and it is really good quality. I'm actually wearing one of the items right now, and it is so soft. It is so nicely made with organic cotton as well. And lastly, the cherry on top is that for every item that is sold, there is 1 tree planted in Yucatan in Mexico, so there's really nothing you can't support about these items of clothing. So if you are interested in them, I'm going to leave the link down in the description so you can check out the shop if there's still any of these items left. However, unfortunately, they only sell within Germany. But if you do know me in Scotland, shoot me a quick message and I can bring you one back. But aside from that, it is only restricted to Germany, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. Here are the final results, the final products. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey of making these clothing designs, of making these actual products, the actual clothes. I hope you learned something about coming up with ideas, the process of coming up with ideas for any sort of art projects that you are doing. And I just hope you go out there and create something. Alright, with that, thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next video.